When will Evil Dead Rise be released? Originally, Evil Dead Rise was headed for HBO Max, but a funny thing happened on the way to the streamer. One David Zaslav decided to emphasize theatrical releases after taking over WarnerBros. Two Deadline reports that when the film's trailer played at the trade show Cine Europe, a trailer that hasn't yet been released to the public, people ate it up, proving the film was good enough for theaters. So when can we expect to get in line and buy some tickets, assuming our possessed hands don't fight back? Well, we'll get to see Evil Dead Rise hit theaters on April 21, 2023, as announced via Bruce Campbell's Twitter account. The actor also shared a first-look photo of the film, which showed a smiling Deadite leering through an apartment's blood-soaked peephole. Interestingly enough, when Evil Dead Rise releases in 2023, it won't be the only horror comedy that month. The flick will be competing against Renfield, a film focusing on the titular familiar, with Nicholas Hoult as Renfield and Nicolas Cage as his master, Dracula. It'll be interesting to see which horror comedy walks away dominant. What is the plot of Evil Dead Rise? Throughout the Evil Dead franchise, there has been one constant: someone reads an evil book, most commonly called the Necronomicon, and unleashes the forces of hell. In the first two Evil Dead movies, we watch this horror show play out in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, with a group of young people getting picked off and possessed by sadistic demons. Of course, the big difference between the two films is that The Evil Dead is straight horror while Evil Dead 2 is a brilliant horror comedy. Things get weird in Army of Darkness when franchise hero Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell, goes back to the Middle Ages to fight a skeleton army, and things get gorier than ever in 2013's Evil Dead when a group of friends trying to help a woman kick a drug habit decide to hole up in a cabin and release the Deadites. But what will Evil Dead Rise be about? Will it follow the standard Evil Dead formula of a cabin in the woods, or will it get a bit more creative a la Army of Darkness? Well, this time, the Deadites are headed to Los Angeles, and they plan to unleash havoc on an apartment complex. As the official synopsis reads, via Fangoria, in the fifth Evil Dead film, a road-weary Beth pays an overdue visit to her older sister Ellie, who is raising 3 kids on her own in a cramped LA apartment. The sisters' reunion is cut short by the discovery of a mysterious book deep in the bowels of Ellie's building, giving rise to flesh-possessing demons and thrusting Beth into a primal battle for survival as she is faced with the most nightmarish version of motherhood imaginable. Who is starring in Evil Dead Rise? In the first 3 Evil Dead films and the Starz series Ash vs. Evil Dead, the franchise was anchored by the shotgun-toting, chainsaw-wielding Ash Williams, played by the one and only Bruce Campbell. In the 2013 installment, the focus shifted to Mia, played by Jane Levy, a woman struggling with drug addiction who must also face an onslaught from hell when she tries to go cold turkey. So who will be leading Evil Dead Rise? According to /Film, Lily Sullivan will be playing the lead role of Beth, who goes to visit her single mom sister and finds herself facing an apartment complex full of Deadites. You may have seen Sullivan in miniseries like Picnic at Hanging Rock or movies like Mental. Opposite her, Alyssa Sutherland will play Ellie, the mother of 3 living in the aforementioned apartment complex, whose life gets even more complicated with the appearance of the flesh-bound Necronomicon. If you're a fan of the TV series Vikings, you'll definitely know Sutherland best for her role as Queen Aslog. In addition to Sullivan and Sutherland, Evil Dead Rise will feature the talents of Gabrielle Eccles, Morgan Davies, Nell Fisher, and Mia Chalice, via Fangoria. Who is directing Evil Dead Rise? The first 3 Evil Dead films were famously directed by Sam Raimi, who went from micro-budget filmmaker to mainstream director on the success of this trilogy. The 2013 Evil Dead was helmed by Fede Alvarez, who kept things intense with his 2 other features Don't Breathe and The Girl in the Spider's Web. So who's in charge of all the mayhem, murder, and madness this time around? Evil Dead Rise will be directed by Lee Cronin. Sure, he isn't a household name yet, but we have a feeling he will be soon. At the moment, Cronin has just one released film to his name, 2019's uber creepy The Hole in the Ground, a film that follows a single mother in Ireland who suspects her son might not actually be her boy anymore. Raimi, who's executive producer on Evil Dead Rise, was super impressed with Cronen's work because he handpicked him to direct the new Evil Dead film. Speaking with Slash Film, Raimi said, "I loved the hole in the ground. And that picture was brought to the executives that I work with, and they showed it to me, and I thought, this is a really great director. And we met, and we talked, and he said he really liked The Evil Dead. And I said, then why don't you make the new one? I think you're just the kind of guy I'd like to do it." That's high praise from the man who conjured the Evil Dead franchise into existence. Are Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell involved with Evil Dead Rise? The two people most closely associated with the Evil Dead franchise are the two who brought the series to life, director Sam Raimi and star Bruce Campbell. Without these titans of horror, we wouldn't have Ash Williams duking it out with undead monsters, sawing off his own possessed hand, or reigning supreme as the King of S-Mart. However, neither one will be reprising their original positions for Evil Dead Rise. Raimi isn't directing, and Campbell isn't starring. So will these two be involved with Evil Dead Rise? Fortunately, the answer is yes. Both Raimi and Campbell will be serving as executive producers, via Bloody Disgusting, along with Robert Tappert, who's been involved with the franchise since the first film. As for Raimi, he actually handpicked Lee Cronin to serve as the film's director. And Campbell has had nothing but positive things to say about the film, telling Collider, "Evil Dead Rise does not suck in the least. Lee Cronin did a great job. It's a very European Evil Dead." We're assuming Campbell is referencing European horror sensibilities, although we don't know if he's talking about Italian giallo, French extremity, or some other style. Whatever we're getting, it's sure to be scary, as Raimi told Slash Film, "It's terrifying, and it's going to knock people's socks off."